decided we're going to ban it away. Take the Ashe out of the equation. We don't think that Seraphine is big of a prio. Now the question becomes Vi. We've actually seen G2 move away from this as a priority, but as bot lane has become the focus, how does BLG shift their approaches? Lulu seems to be the first pick here in game 1.
Yeah, Lulu really, really powerful. To me, now the question for G2 is, do you pick away the Yunara? Because that, I think, is the prime pairing. Of course, you can go other things with Lulu, Aphelios, Zeri, Jinx, whatever you want to do. But Lulu Yunara is really powerful. And so much of pro play right now has become about these kind of standard duos. You mentioned the Ashe Seraphine. I would say Karma Ezreal. These ones are kind of similar as well. And it really comes down to philosophy on, if one gets picked, do you pick away the other? Which half of the duo do you think is stronger? Some teams will tell you Yunara is the more important half of the duo. Other teams will tell you Lulu is. G2 does not want to allow BLG to have that full bot lane duo. And now their question is, do you go kind of like an inferior enchanter, or do you just play more standard and play engage alongside it, which is kind of what I expect.
And I don't blame G2 for not wanting that bot lane to be played against them, because that's what destroyed them in the first series versus BLG.
Nico becomes the champion that I'm thinking about the most. I'm still waiting for this Blitzcrank pick to come out as an answer into the Lulu that we're just yet to see, but Nami could be a solid alternative depending on what style of bot lane they're looking for.
Yeah, and Nico is kind of where mind is at, you know, alongside where Medic was mentioning, because it gives you power in the lane, it gives you engage, it's kind of that middle ground here. I also like Jarvan because when I was mentioning a lot of these other options, a lot of them are champions without a dash. If you really want to be, you know, having hyper carry that scales and also still has that dash, you have to go Zeri. And I think that is an option. You could go towards Zeri. Sivir being hovered here, I would be a little surprised because it is traditionally one of these champions that is very vulnerable to the Jarvan. And when you're picking it early here, there's always the possibility of things like Alistar coming through as well, which you can't actually spell shield that combo. So if G2 wanted to go for engage, you'd already be set up well for a dive comp there in onto this Sivir.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of threat, but BLG are already setting themselves up for a very solid front-to-back style of team fight.
Poppy.
We've seen Poppy come through from Shun multiple times before. We're expecting this to go into the jungle, and it's going to limit some of those more mobile champions that we're seeing in the meta right now.
Also limits the impact that SkewMond can have. So many times in team fights, he's the guy locking up the front line, locking up the carries, making sure that they can't get into the back of the fight. When you have Shun there on the Poppy, he's just going to be able to stop all of that engaged pressure.
And I just think it's so smart because when you have a pick like this, you're already saying, okay, we're drafting Sivir Lulu. You basically have to kill the Sivir or you're not going to win the fights. You know, if you're going through that thought process, okay, well, what do you draft to kill Sivir? You draft dive. What does Poppy kind of pre-counter? Well, it pre-counters dive, right? So I do think it is a really intelligent choice here. And G2, whether they were considering the Alistar or not, are now going to go towards the Nami here. More about the lane power, more about the 2v2. I do think it should give them that winning 2v2, though BLG can just try to play to hit the wave and try to play for wave clear. They don't necessarily have to interact a lot, but generally Nami is going to be considered winning into that Lulu.
Now, so far from G2, we've been seeing tank tops. Broken Blade has been responsible for playing on the weak side, and I wonder how much BLG is going to try and pinch this pool, or if instead they feel very confident in Bin's ability to just have that counter pick. Because my expectation is they want to give Caps the best possible matchup. The last time that those two mid laners met, it was a very one-sided affair. Knight really ran the rift when going up against Caps in the mid lane, so I expect them to want to set him up for success. With the Ahri already banned, we got to remember Knight, a phenomenal Ahri player, used to hold like the highest win rate in the world on the champion. I don't know if he still does, but phenomenal regardless. And so I'm expecting that mid lane pool to be the prio.
I think BLG are going to do the same thing they did in their series against JDG. I think they're going to blind Gnar, and I think that's why they're going for the Yasuo ban. So whether or not G2 is going to actually ban this as a response, this is something they've done in a lot of best of fives. Well, they'll game one in Gnar to set up for a Renekton in the second game if they want to have that angle. They're kind of pre-banning some of these counters and taking them out of the pool. I would also be pretty worried if I'm Broken Blade, having watched that JDG series, because to me, such a key component of BLG's success against JDG is how Shun and Bin play together to put Xiaoshu into the dirt. Like, he had no chance. And Broken Blade is going to have to be prepared for that pressure, prepared for that amount of attention. So SkewMond is really going to have his work cut out for him.
And we didn't really see it in the first series of Broken Blade against Clear. Clear was getting some leads, but there wasn't a lot of pressure top. Yesterday against Gen G as well, most of the focus was down towards that bottom side. So we'll see if Broken Blade, now playing predominantly tanks, can actually survive the pressure you're talking about, Azael.
Oh, interesting. So they're actually going to ban the Renekton. That's pretty surprising to me because I thought they were going to be blinding a Gnar, which is a pretty good matchup into that. The LeBlanc to me suggests G2 are considering a Kali, which is going to be interesting.
Into Lulu and Poppy. I think that would be a really big mistake.
But that is mostly the matchup that people are playing LeBlanc into these days, which is why I'm kind of thinking it may be a suggestion.
I feel like Aurora right now is kind of the premier mid lane pick, and it looks like they're going to lock that one in. I think they're trying to limit Knight's options to have agency in the mid lane pool, but I think that Knight could just go for something like a Victor. They could go full scaling if they want to, go for the Rod of Ages Victor, have more of a HP, a little bit more, less burst.
And here's the thing, we talk about BLG being able to get through their get ahead through their solo lanes, get bin ahead, put him on a carry, allow him just to dominate the game. BLG can also just team fight really well. They're not the best team fighters in the LPL. I think that goes over to someone like JDG, but still, if you get them to a position where they're even in the late game, everyone on this team can carry.
So there is the expected Gnar, but again, I'm a little bit surprised by the Renekton ban. That one
well, it could be very much what you're saying. So we've seen Broken Blade domestically blind pick that, even if the risk of a Gnar on the other side.
And he goes hard.
And they're just probably, as you said, they want to keep it for later on in the series.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But yeah, the Annie Hover right now, we've seen it multiple times into the Aurora matchup. They both do very similar things. Annie has slightly longer range, but Aurora has slightly more versatility. Just in her... Oh, the Yorick slam from Broken Blades.
Yorick is actually a very good matchup into Gnar. You know, it's a lot about punishing the Gnar in mini form. I mean, let's be honest, almost all Yorick matchups are going to be about how many morning mists you can hit, right? If you can't hit the E, you don't proc the ghouls onto them, and it becomes, you know, a little bit difficult. But it is a matchup where you can win in the 1v1, where you can draw pressure to the side lanes. And this comp that BLG has drafted is more about playing 5v5 for sure. So this could throw a wrench in the gears a little bit there for G2. That being said, Cage has some funny interactions. You know, sometimes it can be pretty difficult to gank. You know, if you're looking at someone like a Poppy, you can sometimes just kind of cage out the Poppy and just walk straight past. So we'll see if Broken Blade can stay safe and kind of draw pressure onto that side lane. I
mean, I will be honest, like, Aurora in general for EU teams is not something that invokes a lot of hope, but Caps did have a very impressive Aurora yesterday. He was able to find some very nice picks, even almost finding a one-shot onto Ruler in the middle lane. And so I'm hoping he can emulate that performance, because all of G2 are going to need to step up compared to what we saw in their last series versus BLG.
So if Aurora doesn't give you any hope, may I suggest you just squint your eyes and only look at the nameplate above the Aurora, because I think Caps is a name that does invoke a lot of hope for EU over the years.
Well, I'm hoping so, as I mean, yeah, this is a stressful final. The LPL really have ran EU into the ground when it comes to international finals. But G2, they look like a different beast. Let's see how they show up today against their rivals at BLG.
For the first time here in the First Stand 2026 finals, we make our way onto Summoner's Rift. G2 with the weight of the entirety of Europe resting upon them. A surprise, to be sure, to see them in this position for BLG. They've been here many times before, but have yet to take the title, yet to claim that first place. Hansama stepping up, Knight and On will be spotted. Hansama just backs away, uses that ward in the middle bush of the lane to know that Viper's waiting as well.
I actually really like these cheeky level ones. More and more teams are doing this. For a while at the start of the season, all pro players were just like, well, I guess level ones aren't a thing anymore. You just can't do anything at level 1. And people have realized if you just sprint down to a lane, so what they were expecting was G2 to be playing in this brush here. And if Hans and Labrov are in that side brush, they probably lose flash, and they probably lose a lot of health just from Knight walking in behind them. So I like the attempt there, because Knight gets back, doesn't miss any CS mid, doesn't miss any XP mid. There was really no cost to that, and it could have been a big reward.
Absolutely. I'm also very interested in what the jungle early game plan is, because, Azael, you were just mentioning it, how in yesterday's series from BLG, there was a lot of focus towards top.
I've got to interrupt you. We've got breaking news, a special announcement. The MSI and World schedules are now public. You can check out the full schedule on lolesports.com, including the dates for Worlds 2026, with finals at the Barclays Center in New York City. There are also MSI venues, dates, ticket dates, basically everything. Everything you need to start planning for your trips for the 2026 international events. Apart from this one, I would suggest not now coming to Sao Paulo, as today is the last day of First
Unless
Stand.
you live maybe around the corner.
Yeah, you can just run around. Yeah. You can walk around the corner, I guess.
Well, we do have a packed house here in Sao Paulo. Hansama taking the short end of the trade.
Barrier coming out from Viper. Hansama has to use barrier as well. Heal from Labrov, who is low. Forced underneath the tower, dodges the boomerang blade. In the end, it's barrier for barrier and heal for heal in the bot lane.
Yeah, and honestly, because Labrov still has mana, it's not that bad. Hans did kind of waste his barrier. He popped it when he wasn't actually being hit. Viper was attacking Labrov in that moment. Otherwise, I think it could have gone really well for G2 if he just early popped the barrier when he was actually trading autos.
Really smart base from Viper as well, as he recognized he invested all of his mana, a lot of his HP, and jungler's a pathing bot. So he has to be really careful. Nice trade from Broken Blade in the top lane 1v1.
Yeah, just trading in there with the last rights, and the morning mist connecting allows those ghouls to get the extra chase onto bit.
Perfect timing this base now for Viper. He's going to come back to lane with the Cull. The wave kind of being frozen underneath this tower, but Hans Sommer has not had an opportunity to reset. Labrov going to use this opportunity to get back to base himself to replenish both that mana and HP. Will give Hans Sommer a slight experience advantage, but yeah, he's going to have to be careful now as the wave is going to be put in an awkward spot, and Shun could fish for an opportunity.
Yeah, Shun is going to come on down and see if they can try to punish on this push out. They do have a pink ward there.
Yeah, Shun. Oh, just spot out Labrov. Labrov will spot out Shun. Now he looks for it. Labrov has to flash away as Shun was looking for the slam into the wall. Viper forced down to 2/3 HP. SkewMond looking for a gank towards mid. Knight hovering the bottom side smartly here, knowing that his jungler's on that side of the map. Caps jumping in, looking for the slow. Knight has to flash the slow from the weirding. Otherwise he could have been caught out, but SkewMond's flashing for the chase. The shield from Knight enough to get him a bit of movement speed. There's a flank here for Shun as well, who dashes across the wall. SkewMond down to half HP is on, tries to trade back in. Knight has the stun. No flash on him, the polymorph. SkewMond's going to get stunned up, but Knight is low as well. SkewMond tries to dash back in. A 1-for-1 the exchange so far as Labrov comes in to bolster the attack for Caps. But Caps now needs to run, does still have the flash. Shun still trying to chase in, doesn't get the stun against the wall. Caps low on mana. Flash forward from On. The hammer smash not connecting, and Shun might just fall to Labrov. On's going to follow suit. Caps goes across the veil, and BLG go to the death realm.
G2 start the game off with 3 kills in the river. It felt like such a heavy overforce from G2. They didn't even have the numbers advantage to start off that fight. But Labrov James, the man, comes in, makes the plays happen, turns the play in their favor, and G2 find themselves with a 1K gold lead.
I mean, it's the slimmest of margins there as well. You know, it looked like it was going to go pretty bad for G2, and you know, they did get first blood on the side of BLG, but then they kept chasing for it, and Broken Blade could be in trouble here.
Yeah, needs to try and get out. Broken Blade flashing, but doesn't have much mana. Bin can just chase him down, has the range advantage. He's been put in alcove prison for now. Broken Blade, he's just going to recall. You can also TP out in that position, but Bin not chasing him any further.
Yeah, that was a really good flash for Broken Blade because it gave him time for the cooldowns to come back up, so Bin couldn't chase. The initial play, great from Knight. You have to flash the weirding there, otherwise the slow means you're not going to be able to get to your team. Great sidestep comes through, and then this flash over from Shun, but it's the slimmest of margins, misses the stun into the wall there, and that allowed this fight to go on for so much longer, bought so much time for Labrov to arrive. And then watch this next stun from Shun as he goes for the tackle into the wall. If this lands, Caps is just dead to rights. He barely, that's a pixel or two away. That allows him to escape. That allows the sustain really to make the difference. Cap survives, gets the reset on across the veil here, and is able to stay safe, get a kill. That is tiny, tiny differences. Both those tackles missed the stun.
No, you're completely right. It was the slimmest of margins, and the slow that came through from Labrov applying the E onto himself, and then meaning that Shun realized, I can't actually get in range. I can't actually close the gap anymore onto Caps. I have to disengage, but he ends up just losing his life as well. And the unsung thing about that situation is both AD carries wanted to join that fight too, but Hans actually got prio in the river, making it hard for Viper to approach, and Hans says, you're staying with me, buddy. We're actually just going to stick in this 1v1 because I trust my team to come out ahead.
Right, using Tibbers here just to harass Caps down. More about getting the wave in and making sure that Caps doesn't have an easy move somewhere else than anything else. Something we saw a ton when Animid was really meta. A couple of MSIs ago, I want to say. Hans Sommer and Labrov with the push in towards the bottom lane. Shun is on his way across here, as is Knight. Hans Sommer and Labrov stepping forward. He'll use for the movement speed. Shun still on the chase, doesn't have the flash. Hans Sommer trying to get away alongside Labrov. Step up presence coming down. Hans Sommer steps back forward into it. Labrov so low, slammed into the wall, and BLG will claim their second kill of the game.
Really good focus here. They knew Labrov had no flash from that earlier fight, so it's always eyes on the Nami. They were never going to go for Hans in that situation. Knight uses the Tibbers, gets prio, walks down, makes sure that even if the enemy jungler is there, they are safe. But Bin now could be in a little trouble. He's not going to overextend.
Broken Blade was trying to make him use his E with that Dark Possession to allow SkewMond to come across. But as you say, Bin doesn't need to overextend either. The Maiden is down, that wave's going to push in. SkewMond might look to go behind the tower here. Bin has no flash, there's the Cataclysm. They'll look for the follow-up, but Bin's still very healthy for now. The Ghouls are going to join in. Another Dark Possession. He didn't overextend, but SkewMond still finds him.
So while the action is happening on the bot side of the map, SkewMond set his sights on the top side jungle camps. Shun will return to his jungle to find that top side disappeared, but it is SkewMond that's able to make the cross map happen. 4-2, the kills in favor of G2.
And that is with Bin playing so respectful. He has early steel caps, he's not overextending at all, but they just have so much terrain creation there to be able to lock him in when he doesn't have the hop. There's just nothing he can do to get away.
Viper getting chased out by Hans Summer here, who has level 6, but that polymorph perfectly timed. Labrov not yet level 6. Viper still trading back onto Hans, who has to pop the barrier, but again, not taking too much damage while it's happening, and Hans just goes down. Thought he had the advantage with that level 6. Knight's on his way across as well. Labrov needs to be careful.
Yeah, that's back-to-back skirmishes on this bot side where Hans hits the barrier when he's not being hit. Shun going for a flash.
Heroic charge, Keeper's verdict. Knight here for the follow-up, but Caps able to get across the wall in time.
So we heard from G2 that stylistically, Gen.G and BLG are quite different. And on your screen is exactly what you're seeing. BLG don't waste any time. G2 think that with the level advantage they have, it's a good trade for them. But Viper connects double procs of the Q onto Hans, and the polymorph timing was perfect, which meant that Hans just wasn't hitting for a very long time. He had the flash available, decided not to commit it. The only saving grace is that it was on that ends up getting the kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Conmay step. You can't dash into range of the Lulu in that position. You have to play on the edge of the range. You have to pull the Lulu into you. They had the level 6 advantage, but overcommitment there from Hans does get punished, and poor use of the barrier. And Hans has been incredible for G2 in these last 2 series. They need him to stay locked in. They need him to have that kind of performance here.
They really do, but Shun at the moment leading BLG's charge, so consistently burning these flashes, going in, getting Caps' flash after the play down towards the bottom lane. He has been doing a really good job for BLG, and with BLG having this carousel of junglers, Shun coming back in not only is the glue for the team morale-wise, but also one of the best junglers in the world. Is SkewMond has been trying to claim that title over the last couple of days, manages to force out Knight's flash.
In my mind, a lot of this series is going to come down to this jungle matchup. Yeah, people like to talk about Shun because BLG has talked about him as a mood maker, as a guy who, you know, is that person who can bring everyone together, keep them positive in reviews, but he is also absolutely one of the very best junglers in the world. In my mind, these are the 2 best performing junglers at this tournament, which whoever wins, you know, you are likely going to be the current best jungler in the world. That is going to be the level of performance we are talking about, as SkewMond had back-to-back incredible performances against Raptor and Canyon, and Shun, last time he fought SkewMond, really got the better of him. So much is going to come down to this jungle matchup.
I think they're both just very good at reading the state of the map and recognizing what they can and cannot do. SkewMond demonstrated this game already. Bot gank happening. I'm going to counter invade topside, steal away your camps, and look for a play for myself. But Shun does the exact same thing. Oh, I see Caps looking for a roam, trying to follow the Annie. I'm going to punish you. And they just have such great awareness of the prio that they have in their lanes and the pressure that they're able to implement.
No flash.
Everyone knows he doesn't have flash. Knight not knocked up though. He's going to get the stun off. Caps looking to go between the worlds, and Knight is sent back to the fountain. G2's mid-jungle, finding their 5th total kill together.
100% kill participation for SkewMond as he makes his presence known on the Rift. He set his sights on bot lane.
As Jun is on his way across here, on having to flash away. SkewMond doesn't have the Cataclysm right now. It's still on cooldown, tied away. Viper blocks it with the spell shield. Jun holding on to the steadfast presence. The knock into the wall with a heroic charge, and SkewMond overstepped on a sliver of HP. Shields enough. The Keeper's verdict finds Labrov guilty, but he'll flash forward to get it. A 1-for-1 so far. Underneath the tower, Viper should be able to chase out Labrov. Shun is coming to help. It will be a 2-for-1 in favor of BLG.
Labrov flashes in, does get one back, but at the end of the day, that is your flash to kill off support, and Viper is going to be the one to get the kill. He just made that call. You know what? I'm not getting out regardless, so I am going to take that trade kill. But Shun here was ready for this. The initial play, great from G2. They had already forced Knight's flash with that Cataclysm before, and they know, you know what? Even if the knockup doesn't land, red buff slow, that's enough. Caps is going to come in. That's an easy kill. But this play was a little bit telegraphed. You You know, G2, look how aggressively they're positioning forward. Labrov is walking so far up, so Shun is just sprinting straight down. And On was holding the wild growth the whole time.
And I think the awkward part about it was the wave wasn't quite underneath the tower, so Hans couldn't get involved in the play, and no ulti available on the Jarvan. Think of how different this play could have been if he'd had that ultimate available. BLG just had more resources. You'd committed too much to the play earlier, and it meant that BLG get themselves 2 kills back. Overall, though, still 2 for 2 in kills, so the gold still remains in G2's favor.
And it is Caps monstrously fed, a position he wasn't really in last time he went up against BLG, where it was Knight who was running the show in mid lane. And this time, Caps and SkewMond really working well together, putting Caps in an incredible spot. Ooh. Aurora is one of these champions that can snowball absolutely out of control.
Caps keeping behind. Viper has flash and barrier. On doesn't have the flash or the heal. Hans Summer already down to half HP to pop the barrier. As Viper tries to trade in, has the flash away, slowed up. Caps still looking for the chase here, goes between worlds, but can't get close enough to On or Viper, who have extricated themselves incredibly well from this situation. Caps still chasing forward, 2-fold Hex, not enough through the help picks, and the weirding was short. Shun coming across, and Knight coming across too. G2 will back away. Incredible from the BLG bot lane.
A big misexecution there from G2. I wonder if Caps' ult was, I wasn't paying attention, if it wasn't actually off cooldown at the start of that play, because I'm surprised that he held onto it for so long. Ends up using it where it doesn't connect onto anyone. Viper's able to flash away to safety, and the idea there could have been huge for G2, but at the end of the day, they misexecute. BLG walk away scot-free.
Yeah, Viper played that really well. He knows he can't retreat through Caps. He's got to fight his way out. And he just fought his way through there, held his spell shield for the bubble as that came through from Labrov. And they're able to create enough distance. I think Caps did have the ulti as he TP'd in, but I think he was thinking, all right, they have Sums, they have Sivir, I need to save it for kind of the gap closer to be able to chase him down. But Viper and On played this excellently.
BLG note that SkewMond's on the top side of the map. That Grub's call of death has come out on the screen, so BLG look to put the pressure down here. Shun comes across, forces Hans Summer and Labrov to play a little bit more passively. No flash on Labrov still.
I love how much action is happening around bot lane. If it's not the junglers, the mid laners are permanently roaming. If you guys keep your eyes on the minimap at home, you'll notice Knight permanently moves into Fog of War. It is just that threat of, I'm threatening a bot lane roam, I have that possibility, the bot lane has to respect it because my jungle is on the other side of the map. But now that SkewMond is pathing towards bot and can potentially cover, he's now being spotted out on this bot side vision. So there's this huge fight over information on the bot side of the map to enable for both teams to look for plays in that area.
SkewMond on vision here, as On walks away from the control ward.
It's worth noting that it is going to be an Ardent Sensor rush here from On, so not needing Mikhails or anything like that this game is going to be able to accelerate Viper even faster here, give more powerful buffs. Obviously, you have to save Polymorph a lot of time defensively, but anytime you can actually throw that onto the Sivir as well when they're already fed, you're getting a ridiculous amount of attack speed from this Lulu between the buff of the W as well as the Ardent Sensor.
On having a great tournament overall, bringing out some of his niche pocket picks, but also just showing how effective he can be. Often memed as a player that can be a little bit inconsistent on or off. It's very easy to make a joke about that name, but over this tournament, I think has been really excelling.
I mean, this whole year, I would say he's been really accelerating. Last year, I do think, hey, some of the memes, it's going to happen, right? it is funny. But he has been killing it, both in the LPL, and I felt like yesterday, to me, he was the player of the series, as we can check in on the Coinbase gold grind there, as Viper is up about 1,000 gold, thereabouts.
There we go.
Is going to be looking pretty strong.
Is that a Rift Tower fight?
They're sending Broken Blade down to bot. He doesn't have the TP available. Knight will. So the TP advantage, the numbers advantage, should go the way of BLG.
G2 wrestling control of the mid lane right now off Viper and On, but very difficult to do into a Sivir. Shun and SkewMond just butting heads in the river. SkewMond looking for On, will get some damage down onto him. Labrov coming across, and there's the heal out of On. No flash burn, but you take the summoner.
Yeah, you don't want to overcommit there, especially with the objective just around the corner. SkewMond knows he doesn't have his damage dealers right behind him. He needs to get that prio.
Sorry, Vedi. Now Bin has had to go down towards the bottom lane, so it's both the people without teleports down in that bottom lane, meaning that G2 have a 4v4.
Yeah, they definitely want Knight there with them for the start of the fight. He has flash, he has ult, but Caps is here too. This could be a big fight.
On stepping forward, has to flash away. Tidal wave coming out as well. The keeper's verdict only lands onto Labrov, but a great hack for Prism before he was knocked back. On taken out by Caps, Shun having to flash. As Hans Summer continues to play, chase, and flashes forward. Viper caught in the dark procession. The cage around him, a coffin.
quick kills come through from G2. BLG wasn't expecting that level of aggression to come through from the G2 squad. Han Sama steps forward, punishes on. No heal to get him to safety, has to commit the flash, and G2 convert that into more. Bin will do his best to convert it into a tower, but now Knight.
Knight with the Tibbers down, has to flash the Aqua Prism. Labrov on point with those so far as Broken Blade trying to trade onto Bin, who flashes away, but Shun's coming across, Willanda who charges the wall, and now SkewMond's in a 1v2, and Bin is about to go mega. Giga Bin on the rip, forces SkewMond flash away, flag and drag, but Shun still chases on, trying to come in to bolster the attack. The charge doesn't connect on the wall, but the smash will get the slow. A house chucked at SkewMond, everything in the kitchen sink used to kill him off, and BLG find the enemy jungler.
And just like that, look at the gold lead for Bin, as that was a costly roam from Broken Blade. He ran up towards mid lane. You leave Bin alone on that bot side. Not only does he get the plates, he gets first tower gold, then they try to collapse on him, but Giga Bin outplays, is up 1.5k out of nowhere.
The man is the stuff of nightmares for the European squads. This man has an incredible record, and he's looking to continue that record as we go back to the Herald fight. That slow from Han Sama starts things off and looks so favorable for G2. Caps quickly turns his attention onto On, gets that initial pick. Shun flashes away, just barely escapes with his life. Then the arrival of Broken Blade, as you highlighted, Azael. But then he tries to return back to bot. With the dragon spawning soon, they think, you know what, if we can kill Bin, we get an easy dragon, but the fight does not go their way.
Exactly. I mean, the morning mist misses, which means Bin is not really getting threatened that heavily, and Broken Blade almost goes down in the 1v2, but Shun arrives, cleans him up, and then SkewMond realizes, I don't have the damage to finish Bin, I have to run for it here.
The flash of the EQ combo away from SkewMond was just beautiful from Bin. The man is locked in and he's ready to fight.
Caps trying to kill off Knight and will do so. Labrov is low, Aqua Prism coming out, SkewMond looking for the chase as well, and it's only On and Shun. Cataclysm down to keep his verdict. Will knock SkewMond out, but Caps is still there to find himself a double. Now 6-0-2 on this Aurora as Labrov crashes and doesn't land the Aqua Prism.
Yeah, the dead man's move speed there enough for Shun to get out to safety, but Caps is just on fire. And if you are a long-time G2 fan, this is so promising. Seeing Caps in classic form like this, you know he can take over a game. They're going to be able to get the plates. They're going to be able to get the tower as well on the top side. It's over a 2k gold lead for Caps individually.
It's crazy. It feels like that the game right now is Caps versus Bin. The gold leads are insurmountable. We know that Bin has that carry potential, but we look back at this play as it's Labrov who looks like he's getting caught out. The ultimate gets dropped by Knight, but the heal and the W both keep him alive, and then Caps comes out of nowhere to get the pick.
Meanwhile, in picture, Bin has been caught out, and G2 put him in the trash. A huge kill for G2. The gold lead swings back in their favor as Caps looks for On in the mid lane, weirding just short of clipping Lulu's heels.
I mean, Caps is just everywhere on the top side play. BLG are going for that because they think Caps is base, but he's just hiding in that side lane brush. Then he goes down to bot lane. He TP'd there. We didn't get to see the setup, but he TP'd down towards bot lane, gets a kill onto Bin. They have the Herald. They're going to get probably 2 charges here, maybe the second full tower, but probably will be able to be defended here by BLG. G2 in a great spot here.
Gentlemen, I was skeptical about EU Aurora. I've been skeptical about Caps' overall performance at this tournament, but for him to show up now, the best time he could possibly show up. A 6-0-3 scoreline on the Aurora, and he is dominating on the Rift right now.
And even more good news for G2 is that this is probably the worst possible soul roll you could have got as BLG. They took the early 2 dragons. Great, Chemtech Soul gives you durability when you're low HP. That doesn't help when Caps one-shots you from full.
Yeah, Caps absolutely popping off. Most gold in the game, just ahead of Viper. Only has about 400 gold lead over Han Sama.
And I mean, Caps, he does not have... Oh, hang on a minute, Shun.
Steadfast person coming down, TP as well.
They're committed to this.
Looking for it, can't quite land the knockup, and because of that, Shun's just able to walk away.
But I mentioned it earlier, like, Caps versus LPL has not been a good track record for him. If you look at the international finals where he's met them, they are 0-6. But right now, that's what I focus. The Baron's just been started.
Bin has no TP. He's down towards the bottom side. Shun does have the flash and can get into the pit. Has to keep his verdict as well. Easy way to turn this into a numbers advantage for BLG. Knight holding on to the Tibbers. No flash for him. SkewMond still in the pit with G2. Broken Blade trying to keep Viper at bay. Vision in the pit for BLG with that control ward. They know what this Baron is on. Shun trying to step forward, chunked out a little bit by Han Sama. The Maiden doing a bit of work. Bin's already walked across here. Dark Possession slows him up for the moment, and G2 call it off as BLG were able to rebut them.
I like the attempt, though, from G2. They had already committed to that play when they saw Shun on the top side. You've already spent your TP, so try to draw them up. And hey, we saw on overstep at that Herald fight, if that had happened from BLG, if there's a little bit of an overstep, you get a kill. Maybe it turns into a wipe, maybe it turns into a Baron. They don't flip it, though, which is the important thing.
Look at mid lane, Shun and Knight threatening a play.
And someone Caps need to get out of here. Steadfast presence used between worlds goes Caps, and they escape with the ability to get out of there.
This game is stressful. There is so much action happening on the Rift.
I was using like On the Hunt for the chase. Like we have like 10 graphics that we wanted to bring up through this game. I had a really good joke at the start of the series that I wanted to bring up, but there's been action the entire time.
Okay, well, 40 seconds until the Dragon, so we're not going to have that much time because both teams need to get back to base. They need to spend what gold they can. Look at the items on Viper as Knight might be caught out.
Dark Possession going down. Knight does have the flash using Tibbers, uses his flash to get out. Shun here as well to try and defend his mid laner. SkewMond and Labrov on the chase. We'll try and chunk out Shun as much as they can before this Drake does come up. Bin chasing Caps out towards the top side, flashing forward. Caps able to use the rocket belt to get himself away from that mini Gnar who was about to turn Mega.
That is actually huge. Caps didn't have to use a flash for his own, and Bin used that flash, and they keep putting pressure on a Knight, forcing him to use defensive flashes. Viper
doesn't dodge the flag and drag, flashes away, but the Cataclysm will follow. The Wild Growth, though, Viper still goes down. SkewMond able to flash away, and Shun is chunked out to half. The flag and drag out from SkewMond now, but Hansama steps forward immediately, cleansed away with the Mikhails from the stun out of Knight. Such good timing from Labrov. That could have been deadly.
Yeah, that is great for G2. They're going to be able to grab this Dragon, no problem. I just love the pressure that they're putting on. Viper needed to flash that initial engage. He held the flash late. The Cataclysm is there to follow. And even with On behind him, it is not enough to keep Viper alive.
The thing that has shocked me the most about this game is when they played against Gen G, my biggest praise for them was their discipline, their control. But now, their aggression, they are matching BLG in their choice for violence. And right now on the Rift, it is 12 kills to 7, 19 kills in 23 minutes. Both these teams are ready to fist fight on the Rift, and BLG, they are not holding back any punches.
I mean, this is a game now that is so much about Bin for BLG. You know, you look at the experience advantages. Knight has been put so far down. We can go back to this initial play. That is the Mega Blast Cone getting in. You know, he had to flash early. He does not. The Lulu makes it look a little bit closer than you would have wanted for G2, but even with that Lulu there, they can't stay alive. And I mean, Knight is just falling so far behind. He can't get experience. He's not getting farm. He hasn't gotten any kills. You know, he is down 2 full levels on Caps. He can't play in the side lanes. Every time he goes there, he is just getting ganked, forced to use flash defensively. That is the most important tool for any. You want to be looking for these flash multi-man engages.
I think the thing for BLG, though, is although you're 1.4k behind, you do still have 2 Drakes, so there's no soul point coming up quickly for G2. And you still have, as you said, Azael, Bin on his Gnar. You still have the possibility of a G2 versus the LPL, G2 versus Bin moment of a massive Gnar in a fight, and you've got enough follow-up to make sure that G2 just die before they have the opportunity to react.
And despite the fact that Knight is down 2 levels, Bin is up 2 levels on Broken Blade. You know, he's about to hit 17 here, obviously highest level in the game by a lot, has been playing very heavily through side lanes, you know, up over 11 CS per minute or thereabouts as Caps is getting some help here. This is trouble for Bin.
So Bin has teleport, tidal wave used by Labrov. There's the TP. Labrov flashing with the aggro-prism, and they will find Bin. He tries to trade back in, gets the Nami to the wall, gets the stun, follows it with the wall of the barrier, enough to keep Hansama alive. He dashes across the wall, and Bin almost buried Hansama. But G2 were able to find the kill. BLG now collapse kill, use the TP to get in here. Shun has to go onto Hansama, dashes in, gets the hammer shot down. Aggro-prism again, Hansama still surviving. On taking down to half HP, SkewMond tries to trade towards the top side. Viper caught out in the Cataclysm. On trying to escape the between worlds. The Caps have put him in, but they just can't get away. BLG thought they were collapsing, and G2 said, you could collapse now. Shun tries to escape, but G2 will not give him an inch. They find the ace as G2 win out on the bot side.
SkewMond solo killed Viper there as he tried to collapse on the play, and that is what made all the difference here. Bin almost has the monster outplay, gets 3 summoners, nearly takes down Hans, and they were thinking, you know what, G2 spent too much. We can win this fight. We can collapse. Hans survives, but watch SkewMond. He catches off the AD carry. Shouldn't just walk through the brush. So Viper's thinking, of course it's safe. My jungler just saw, but they didn't have vision on SkewMond. The timing there was perfect from SkewMond. He kills off Viper, a solo kill in the middle of a fight.
There are a couple of little subtle things as well, such as the bubble connecting onto the Lulu, meaning that Summer can live for longer. The fact that Caps gains access onto the backline, Broken Blade isolating Knight. Shun was kind of a one-man army on the backline doing everything that he could, but it was not enough as G2 gets an ace against BLG.
And in the picture-in-picture, we saw Bin actually chasing Broken Blade out here. Bin did use his jump, now has another BB, no flash, but Caps is on the collapse, and Bin doesn't really have the reinforcements yet. Viper and On now joining with their top laner. G2 will call off the fight. BLG able to reinforce in time.
But G2 getting further and further ahead here. I mean, the entire gold lead still really is Caps, so if BLG can get fights 4v4 somehow where Caps is in a side lane, you know, it's going to look a lot better for them. But Bin really doesn't have much of a lead anymore at this point. And G2, it does feel like they are, you know, that one big fight away from breaking this game open, from being able to get a team fight win, from being able to get that Baron. But Caps has got to stay really on point because he has been incredible. He is the entire gold lead. If you go in one bad moment, get polymorphed into an anti-stun in one shot, the game can flip on its head.
In a 26-minute game, well, 27 minutes with 26 kills, Caps has somehow remained deathless. He has constantly played at the very edge, and we have to think back all the way to those very first few kills in the river where he lived with like 50 HP. A single auto attack, a single stun could have changed the entire dynamic of this game, but he has leveraged that early lead to perfection, and they're looking to close out game one.
God.
Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. He has 3 fully completed items with the upgraded boots as well. He is a hard man to kill, level 16. As BLG look to try and fight this dragon.
3 items for Viper. He is so strong on this Sivir if he gets a little bit of time. Bin as well, just chunking out SkewMond, who does have the Guardian Angel, will have to flag and drag away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Summer knocked back, tidal wave coming out, keep it verdict into the wild growth, into the steadfast presence, and Summer doesn't get an opportunity to move! BLG collapsed perfectly in mid! They'll find 3, get the shutdown on BB, and now it's all on Caps and SkewMond to try and defend the Mega Blast Cone. Will be Caps' friend, but he dashes back! He used the Between Worlds. Knight coming on for the flank here. Caps might just have to burn the flash to escape. He will do so, but the gold lead evaporates as BLG collapse around the Baron.
Yeah, they're already on the Baron. Viper was hitting that the whole time. He was not chasing. They want to focus this down. G2 will try to settle for the Dragon here, but it was Bin on the side that pushed SkewMond out, and Hans was positioned very aggressively there. They had no flash, and this engage from Shun, you're thinking, I'm safe, there's no wall. Charges in, knocks him up, wild growth to change it, and just not being able to get anything done there. Just perfect chain from BLG.
I think Bin's impact in the fight, as you highlighted, was just so monstrous. He did not stop clicking forward. He was just setting his sights on any opponent that was in front of him. Auto, doing so much damage. And with the damage build that he's gone for, that mini Gnar can run down anyone. With the Baron, BLG say to G2, we're not down and out just yet.
Definitely not. I mean, Shun has been on fire. 11 out of 12 KP. This guy has been a part of everything, has been finding plays left, right, and center. And he is very tanky. Obviously, Caps is mega fed, but still, the people that are going to be hitting Shun, it's mostly physical damage. And he has the full Randuin's plus that Dead Man's Complete. He is a very tanky jungle poppy here at this point. And you already touched on Viper. You know, he's working on his 4th item, got so much gold off of that series of plays.
And all Knight really needs to do is land a stun. Yes, he's not had the greatest of performances, but at this point, Viper and Bin are your damage dealers. You just need to provide utility onto the right target, and you can still be game impactful. They set their sights on the bot tier 2. There's not much that G2 can do to clear this out against the double cannons. This tower is soon to fall.
Something, though, that is at least good for G2 is the fact SkewMond didn't lose his GA, so you still have that. That is going to be very powerful for a fight. And Hans does have his flash back now. Broken Blade's about to have his flash, so they're going to have a lot of these summoners. They just have to watch out because Caps will not have flash and could be a target from a flash stun from Knight.
G2 pushing out mid and top, while BLG pushed through the bottom side, just short being able to take that tier 2. BLG now 1.3 thousand gold ahead as Caps looks for the damage on Viper. They'll go between worlds. Is Caps going to chase any further? On the hunt, pop by BLG. Tidal wave coming out as well. Isn't going to find its mark, and G2 will call off the chase at that point.
That is terrifying. That is 3,000 damage from 2 basic abilities across 2 members. The amount of pressure Caps can put out is astronomical. So definitely has the ability to still carry this game despite the fact that BLG have that gold lead now even more pressure on Caps, because now it's not just Bin with the lead, it's Viper and Bin with massive leads. It really is all on Caps to be able to find an angle, delete one of these strong members. Really, it has to be Viper, because Knight just doesn't matter that much once he gets his spells down, and the rest of the team is kind of too tanky.
I mean, I feel like Viper's just fully online with this late game build now. With the support of the Lulu as well, this Sivir is the champion that I think is the scariest on the side of BLG. And that, as you rightly said, like, Bin is always there, but the main damage, if they can't get rid of Viper, there's no way G2's going to win a fight.
And while BLG doesn't have the most explosive engage, they have so much move speed. You have Shirelias, you have the speed up from the Lulu, you have On the Hunt, you have Deadmans. G2 really has to be cognizant of that.
And beginning to deny more vision away from G2 in this jungle as well, using those Mega Blast Cones to try and get on Broken Blade, who backs away, but this will be the tier 2s for BLG. Bin pushing in, Caps looking for a flank, Drake up in 2 minutes, so still a while before we get there. Looks like Caps just wants to cut the wave as far away from the base as possible, delay BLG's advances, and he does that as BLG extend the gold lead to 2.2k. Caps goes across the veil and dodges away from Shun. Not too much damage on the Poppy, unsurprisingly.
Knight with flash, and look at this vision control as well. These are the things that G2 have to be so careful of, because he is always going to be looking for that one-shot potential. Even if he doesn't deliver the final blow himself, the setup that he has onto both Hans and Labrov, his ability to one-shot them is still very much real. And so they have to respect that. The vision coverage, as I was mentioning earlier, from BLG is so oppressive. G2's every move is being watched.
One of the real difficult things here for G2 is how do you get value out of the Yorick at this point, right? You know, Hans, he's down in gold, but you're always still going to be valuable here. On the Yorick, you're down essentially an entire item. You're not a good team fighter. You don't win side lanes, and you're kind of struggling to figure out, okay, what is my role in this game now? You know, can you win if you just show up to a 5v5? Is it better if I just try to pull Bin to the side lane and just try to be that sacrificial lamb set up for a 4v4 for my team? I think the job of Broken Blade becomes pretty complex at this point. Just because he didn't get that 1v1 advantage he wants, and Yorick is not a great team fighter.
You can see he's just grouping up with the team right now as Bin pushes through that bottom side. Hans Summer still short of the armor reduction that he really needs to get through Bin and through Shun. Sitting on the Fiend Hunters, Kraken, and the Infinity Edge. He's been funneled quite a bit of gold as well. We saw him picking up the blue buff earlier on. And then the Wolves. G2 trying to get towards that item spike, but BLG doing such a good job of just being oppressive during this portion of the game. A minute left before the Baron. Bin on the chase here with Shun. BB wisely walking away once again, but Bin will take his time to try and clear out the Maiden. Doesn't quite get it, down to about half HP.
You can see Viper is forgoing the armor pen as well. You know, he's going to be going in towards a GA next. More concerned about getting one shot than he is about, you know, maximizing damage here. Some armor is getting picked up on the other side though. SkewMond obviously already had the GAs working in towards what I assume is going to be a Randuin's. Broken Blade has the Jack shows, picking up some more armor on top. So they're trying to get tanky enough to potentially punish that.
Someone needs to be careful. Puts the flag down for a little bit of vision. Knight was looking for the flank as well. BLG will get the Drake. No real contest from G2. No surprises there. And definitely feel like their backs are against the rope. And no shock as BLG have been pushing them back over and over the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that last team fight just completely changed the momentum of the game, right? Yeah. BLG established how effective their team fighting really is, and G2 are now kind of fishing. They're buying time, waiting to get a couple more items. With the LDR finished, Hans going to have access to a lot more damage. But G2 doing their best to get some semblance of vision onto the top side of the Rift. You can see the entire bot side is littered in favor of BLG, but that top side around Baron is still an area of opportunity for G2.
Exactly, and that's what they're trying to threaten, because the Baron is about to spawn. Caps looking
for Viper, weirding, spell shielded well. And that's what Caps needs to do. TP coming behind here by Bin. Broken Blade will be able to spot him out as he comes across the side. G2 still looking for the fight. Knight is not here. This is a 4v3 in favor of G2. SkewMond looking for a flank now as Viper and On begin to collapse upon him. Bin doing the same. Knight now able to join up with BLG, and G2 pulled the trigger, but they fired a blank. BLG still chasing onto SkewMond. Flag and drag. Flash over from Bin. Broken Blade is here for the Dark Possession, and SkewMond will have to flash away to escape the clutches of BLG.
Trade of flashes there. The question is, you know, was that worthwhile for Bin, because he is such a strong member? SkewMond will be missing that flash, obviously pretty costly, but at this point in the game on the Jarvan, it's kind of less about you. It's more just about, you know, throwing down that Cataclysm.
Well, with the HP advantage that BLG have, there's no reason not to threaten this Baron. Shun's going to get a little bit of health back from the Scuttle Crab. They've now claimed full vision control around the river. See how difficult it is for G2 to actually approach. Caps is fishing.
Look at the shield though, from Hell Picks and from the Bloodthirster. Viper only chipped away a little bit as Caps goes in again. There's the barrier out of Viper. Shun falling low as the Cataclysm comes in, but they don't know where Knight is, and so G2 have to play so cautiously. Mikhails and SkewMond gets him out of the tip of stun. Shun diving in, looking for the heroic charge stun, but can't quite land it. As G2 once again able to back away from the play. BLG, though healthier, could just turn their eyes to the Baron again.
I mean, these ricochets are becoming such a problem. Viper is getting chunked out by Caps, but he just heals back to full. The ricochets bounce through the team, and I think they're going to threaten the Baron here for sure. They have a big HP advantage at this point.
Caps' ult is gone, Hans' ult is gone, SkewMond's ult is all gone. There's no reason for BLG not to force this objective.
DP from Caps looking for that flank position. Bin down to a third, doesn't have the Mega, is a long way away from that Rage Bar as well. The Baron sitting at 13,000 on the hunt, is popped by Viper, but he can't get further than the Dark Procession. The Broken Blade locks him in. BB does have the flash, but stunned against the wall, doesn't have a chance to use it. BLG find a kill, and now will turn their attention back towards the big purple worm.
That's all they needed, a single kill. Now a big part of their front line has disappeared. Minion damage is good on the bot side of the Rift, but Caps has no TP available to him with 4 versus 5. BLG with firm control over this objective, and the Baron is simply melting.
Yeah, Knight still looking for that flank. Keeper's verdict out from Shun, lands it onto Labrov. Knight gonna walk forward here, but is spotted on Vision. Hans Summer trying to step in, does have the flash and barrier, but until Labrov is back, no Mikhails, no cleanse for him. SkewMond trying to get into the pit, but he just can't get close enough. Flag and drag his only option. On falling low, Hans Summer stepping in. They turn on to Knight instead. BLG will secure the Baron, but Knight goes down for it. Hans Summer still dashing forward. Flashes from Shun. The stun. Viper able to get away for now, but Shun is going to get chased down by G2. The chase continues as SkewMond finds the backline. Bit about to go mega. SkewMond has the GA. The Angel on his shoulder will bring him back as Caps finds another. BLG got the Baron, but at what cost? G2 will continue to chase as Viper falls for the triple. Bin with a one-up, but G2 want to relegate him to the trash. The Gnar from Bin, not enough today. G2 overcome their demon that is Bin as they win the fight and clear away the Baron.
G2 have all 5 members alive. Look at those death timers. Knight, 15 seconds. G2, they have to go for the Nexus. They have to try and end the game.
They're going to look for the push through bot side. There's an inhibitor there. Knight is back up in 9. They don't have a wave. The question is, can they do it? They're looking to close it out, but without a wave, perhaps a step too far here for G2.
I think they can do it, though. They're pushing forward. Knight is going to try to get behind them and clear the wave, but they're going to go in.
Broken Blade puts him into the cage, and BLG are buried. G2, their attention on the Nexus. The Keeper's verdict finds BLG guilty. G2 1-0.
Classic Cap performance. This was one for the ages. This man refused to lose. Caps took over this game. What a performance. Lounge, what do you think?
I think that my cortisol is so high right now. What the hell was this game? Holy G2 take game 1 here in what was one of the closest games we've seen so far in the tournament. I have no words. Please, guys, go ahead. Take it.